All right, back again. This time what we're going to worry about is a different problem altogether. Well, actually, it's the same old problem. It's always the same problem. What the heck are we doing here? No, I'm sorry that last one was too a little long. This one will be shorter. John Locke is the first guy to come up with the idea that there are three inalienable, unalienable natural rights. Those rights are, as you know, life, liberty, and as Locke describes them, estates. And these rights for John Locke together come out to be essentially private property. Private property. And the thing about private property is that private property is not something that I need to give to anyone else. In fact, John Locke, believe it or not, gives us the foundation of the argument that was used in Roe versus Wade. And we may get to that today, I don't know. Anyway, the rights, life, liberty, and estates all say the same thing, that I get these rights, but I don't get an entitlement to make anybody else give me these rights. And these rights all come from God. So they actually come from from nature's God, or the God of nature. And this is why this is called natural rights, as we already saw this once before early. Natural rights. And these natural rights that come from God are negative rights, which means my right to life means that if I'm dying, I don't make you give me something to keep me alive. And if I need liberty, I can't walk around, I can't make you give me something of yours so that I can move around. And if I have no stuff, no estates, because that's all estates means, all the stuff I accumulate, and if I have no stuff, that doesn't mean I get to take your stuff. So these rights are what are called negative rights. They are not entitlements. Locke is not telling you that you have an entitlement to anything. You don't get to take anybody else's stuff. Now here's the key. How do I invent private property? Private property comes from my using public property, what he calls common property. So common property is the property that people own in common, is that I take that common property and I put my liberty into it, and that turns it into private property. So if a tree is in the woods and nobody owns it, that tree is owned by everyone and it's common property. As soon as I cut that tree down, it's now my tree, it's my private property. And the more labor I put into that tree, what Locke will call, or what's called, and is a Lockean idea, the labor theory of value, which means the more labor I put into that tree, the more valuable that tree becomes. So as I cut that tree into firewood, it now is more valuable than when I first cut it down. Or if I turn it into boards, even more valuable. And if I turn those boards into furniture, now that tree has even more value. And so what happens is the more labor you put into the raw materials, the more value you add to it. So labor is what creates value. It's a very interesting idea. So when I put labor into something, what made it valuable is my labor, but that doesn't mean I can waste it. So if I have 1 billion tomatoes and I grow them in one season, I certainly won't grow them in an afternoon, I grow them one season, I can't just let them go to waste. What I need to do is be able to somehow take those tomatoes which were grown on common property and turn that into something which can be useful to everyone, and that's private property. And since tomatoes rot, the only way I can do that is to sell them. So when I get rich, for John Locke, my wealth means that other people got to buy things they couldn't normally buy. So for John Locke, my wealth is an improvement for the entire capitalist world. And John Locke is one of the people that is the originator of what we think of as capitalism. Adam Smith comes after John Locke, and David Hume. But John Locke has the idea that it's human labor that people value. All right, next question, and we're going to deal with this in a minute. Why in the world are kiwis, that's right, those green little strange testicular looking fruit, why are they in Giant Eagle? I think there's a Giant Eagle out there in Penn Highlands. Why in the world are kiwis in Giant Eagle? There's no good reason for it, you know. I mean, they aren't that tasty. I know some of you love them, but certainly nothing that you can't find in an apple. So think about that. Why are kiwis in Giant Eagle? I'll be back in a second.